Welcome to the series, The Conscious Mirror, where we honestly discuss our social problems. Today, we are opening up a conversation that might feel uncomfortable for a lot of parents, students, and educators. But it is a crisis that no longer be afforded to be ignored. Let's start with a foundational thought. If there is any way at all for us to free ourselves from the economic, social, and political suffering, it has to be through knowledge. True knowledge is supposed to be an enabler of freedom. But I want you to look around the reality. Does our current education system feel like it's setting anyone free? Or does it feel like it's just adding to our collective suffering? To me, it feels like an immense burden. Look at the entire ecosystem. You have parents struggling to their absolute limits just to afford what is labeled as quality education. We have students facing extreme, sometimes fatal level of pressure, while their depth of learning remains incredibly shallow. And our teachers are overburdened and under-resourced. Underneath all of this is a deeper law. Corruption and raw profit-making motives have completely corroded what used to be a noble institution. Today, we aren't going to talk about usual scapegoats like the poor quality of government schools or infrastructure. Instead, we are aiming straight at the heart of the current crisis: competitive exams like NEET and JEE and the multi-billion-dollar coaching industry feeding off them. To understand where the system broke, we have to start with a deceptively simple question. If you walk up to a high schooler today who is grinding 14 hours a day for NEET or JEE, and you ask them, why do you want to become a doctor or engineer? What do you think they will say? The obvious first answer is that they want to fulfill their aspirations. But if you push a little deeper and ask, but why do you want to be in that specific profession? That is where you hit the source of misguidance our children are fed every single day. If most kids are being honest, their answers would fall into 4 very specific buckets. First, because all my friends are doing it, therefore I don't want to be left behind. Or because my parents are having high expectations and I want to make them proud. Else, because I want to get into an IIT or a top medical college so that I can bag an excellent salary and have a convenient life. Or finally, because I want a powerful reputation in society. Notice what is completely missing from all 4 of these answers. Not a single one mentions the actual purpose of that profession. Let's break that down. Why does any profession exist in a civilized society? It exists because there is a human need for it. A teacher exists because the society needs to be educated. A doctor exists because there are people who are ill and needs treatment. An engineer exists to solve structural, mechanical, and technological problems. So a person entering that field should inherently come with the intention of serving the society within that specific capacity. But look at what we are training our children to do. When was the last time we heard a 16-year-old say with genuine confidence and fire in their eyes, I want to become an engineer because I want to solve the traffic congestion or clean up our polluted rivers, or I want to become a doctor because I have a deep urge to heal the people. It's incredibly rare, and the consequences of this intention crisis are playing out in real time, all across our society. Because we train doctors for money and status, we have a crisis of medical professionals who refuse to be posted in remote and rural areas. Instead, they build hyper-expensive urban hospitals that put basic healthcare completely out of reach of the common people. And because we train engineers for corporate packages rather than societal problem solving, we get substandard roads that crumble after one monsoon. Apps designed to make people incredibly lazy, or a massive brain drain where our brightest minds are immediately leaving the country for a convenient lifestyle in the West. So to every parent listening right now, I have to ask you a hard question. What are you glorifying these positions for? Is it just to show off each other, to say my kid works in this company, in this Fortune 500 company, making this many lakhs? Well, the bad news is your false pride comes at a devastating price. That price is the mental health crisis currently tearing through our youth. We are misguiding an entire generation into building careers where they fail to contribute anything meaningful, and it's destroying them from inside out. If you want to fix this, we can't just patch up the symptoms. We have to tackle it at the source, the intention. The choice of career must align with the child's unique nature, their special characteristics, and their deep convictions. And this is where the most critical stakeholder come in, the parents. Parents hold the firewall. You have the ultimate power to reshape their narrative. But how do you actually do that in practice? Because let's be real, most kids are clueless about what they want to do at 15 or 16. And that's completely natural. Your job as a parent is not to handle a pre-packaged blueprint called engineering or medicine. Your job is to have them uncover their internal qualities. Let's take a concrete example to understand. If your child generally exhibits a deeply caring and empathetic nature towards sick or suffering people, and that drives them their desire to be a doctor, encourage them with everything you have. But what if they don't care about sick people at all, and yet they still say that they want to be a doctor because it makes good money or everyone else is doing it? That is where you have to step in, not as an enabler, but as a mirror. You need to help them reflect and say, let's look at your unique strengths. Your intention right now is based on greed or fear, not with your nature. Maybe that child has a natural gift for standing up against injustice, so perhaps they should look at journalism or law. Maybe they have a profound love for culinary arts or history or literature or Sanskrit. Here is a beautiful thing. When you tap into the child's true intention, clarity emerges completely naturally. If a student's pure, unadulterated intention is to simply to heal the patients, they stop obsessing over a single hyper-competitive exam like NEET. They open their eyes and realize, wait, I can fulfill this intention by becoming an Ayurvedic doctor, a homeopathic specialist, or yoga therapist, or an incredible nurse. The mad life or death fight for one specific level disappears. The same goes for engineering. If a kid genuinely wants to solve environmental pollution or structural gridlocks, they don't need to destroy their mental health just to get into an IIT tag. They can pursue deep research in environmental sciences or urban planning at dozens of institutions. So why the craze? Why the madness? It's because we have created a hierarchy of the human value. Nature intended for human society to be beautifully diverse. For a sane, healthy society, we desperately need artists, writers, historians, specialists in Sanskrit and different languages, and thousands of other paths. But when we collectively decide that we only 3 professions are worthy of dignity purely because they offer more convenience, money, and social status, society degenerates. We lose our morals and ultimately everyone suffers. Who steps in to profit of this collective societal ignorance? The coaching institutes. This extreme obsession with engineering, medical and government jobs has allowed the corrupt, predatory network of entrance exam coaching centers to turn education into an absolute factory. It's no longer a noble institution. It's a high-stake business. The math is simple. The families with resources control the flow. And innocent, desperate parents and students are completely sucked into the vacuum. Let's be honest. This is happening right under the nose of the regulators who were supposed to protect us. It's been going on for decades. Sure, it has pumped out thousands of doctors and engineers, but at what cost? It has deterred crores of children from ever discovering their true unique potential. It forces them to an existence that is completely unnatural to who they are. This brings us back to the self-work that parents have to do. If you are going to be the firewall between this predatory system and their children, you have to clean your own mirror first. Parents have to free themselves from their own tendencies of greed and pride. This is a heavy truth. You cannot make your child exam scores an extension of your own ego. A parent's true role is to be a facilitator, someone who helps bring the purest, most natural expression of whatever gifts the child was born with. But to do that, you need to find your own fulfillment through soul searching. You have to stop treating the children as a social security plan or a trophy to flaunt at social gatherings. This requires emotional intelligence. It requires deeper spiritual maturity. Because if you are not actively working on to become a more better self-aware version of yourself, how can you hope to save the future of your child? Look what happens if you refuse to do this self-work. Walk down the streets of any major coaching hub or town. Every corner is plastered with massive towering billboards featuring the faces of children. We have literally stripped away their humanity and degenerated their entire identity into mere percentages or all India ranks. It's heartbreaking. At an age where we should be fiercely protecting their innocent minds, instead we are filling them with three of the most toxic elements known to human psyche: greed, fear and hatred. Think about it. When we shower them with obsessive attention only when they get high marks, we train them to become greedy for external validation. When we constantly burden them with our expectations, we teach them to live in a chronic state of fear, the fear of falling short. And when we aggressively feed the flames of blind, chaotic competition, we train them to look at their peers not as friends, but with envy and hatred. Now, let's be clear here. I'm not saying competition itself is inherently evil. Competition can be healthy, provided its purpose is to bring the absolute best in yourself. Think of a runner. If you are running the race entirely by yourself, you might get lazy, complacent, or might not push yourself to give your 100%. But if there are few other runners alongside you, you are naturally motivated to run the best of your qualities. That is healthy. But when a system reduces everything to a zero-sum game, when the only acceptable outcome is forcing every single child to cross the exact same finish line as the winner, that is no longer a race. That's a disaster. And that madness is exactly why we are in the middle of a youth crisis today. So how do we stop this madness? What is the tangible path forward? Step 1 is radical. We need to collectively boycott these predatory coaching institutes. We have to shift our energy, our focus and resources back to improving the baseline quality of education inside our schools. If a student has a genuine natural appetite to go through rigorous competitive exams like NEET or JEE, if it truly matches their inner wiring, then by all means let them go through it. But for the millions of students who have other specialities, other forms of uniqueness, we must build a society that allows them to venture out and flourish in their own unique ways. This is where the government and regulatory bodies have to step up. Their role is crucial. They need to bring this coaching culture to a systematic end. But they must simultaneously ensure that school education is elevated to the highest possible level of quality, critical thinking, and holistic development. Systemic reform takes time, absolutely, but systemic change will only follow a cultural change. And that cultural change has to begin at home. It has to begin by the parents. Parents are the ones who are standing right at the intersection of this crucial revolution. By refusing to let your children be treated as commodities, by refining your own intentions and by nurturing your child's innate nature, you can single-handedly reset education. You can turn it back into something which was always meant to be, an enabler of freedom. Thank you for listening and see you again with another social issue next time.